Welcome back, fight fans, to the Fight Plan podcast, where I still don't get how this is what I do now. Playing hockey was one thing, from fear and the fight and all that. Yeah, can reminisce and look back and think it's awesome, but what I'm doing now, talking to people like our guest today, Aaron Volpatti. Wait till you hear my intro of this guy, all the things he's doing. He's like a modern day violent Renaissance man turned peaceful lover, husband, father, music. Like it's wild. Okay, I'm so excited to release this episode. It's like talking to my big brother in a way that I never had, and someone further down the path in their life than me. And we'll see if mine goes anywhere like his, but I wouldn't hate it if it did. Aaron Volpatti. Whoa, fight fans, slow down. I know we're excited about the episode. I am too. But I have a book update for you. And I know it was April and then it was June, but now it's the first week of September. And after my mama gets back from Scotland and her trip, September 2nd. I'm not doing this thing more than once. I am doing it right. I'm not even making these decisions. But I promise you, it'll be worth the wait. Namaste, fellow waves. In the ocean of loving consciousness, namaste. I already know this conversation is going to be unbelievable. Okay, Aaron Volpatti is a guy that when I was going through some tough times and feeling like I was going to alchemize my suffering into an offering, I looked up to him because he had a book out titled Fighter. And I got that thing after reaching out to him. He sent it to me, and I crushed it in under 2 days. Couldn't put it down, walking around my house pacing. And then we got on a call, and I picked his brain, and he helped me out, and he shared his journey. Obviously, I knew it inside out from the book. I don't think he realizes how many parallels there are between us because he hasn't read my book. It's not out yet, right? So when he does, he's going to get it fully, but I don't think it's going to matter for this conversation whatsoever. There's so much to talk about. I feel like he could come on 10 times. We'd never run out of things to talk about. We'll see where this journey takes us, where our journey intertwines with our speaking, with our books, with our offerings. We're so alike, but also uniquely have different interests. I don't know how much we'll get into it, but because he's got so much else going on, but this is a guy you better tape the wrists up and put the Vaseline on before this episode because he might double homicide you. Okay, he coined that term. You hit a guy so hard, you knock him out of the game, and then one of his teammates comes to fight you and you knock that guy out. It's something I never did once in my career, and he made it a habit. Let's just go. Aaron fucking Volpatti.
Nama fucking stay. Aaron Volpatti. Okay, I haven't done this yet for anybody, but I have to do it now. Okay, everybody. Aaron Volpatti, survivor of 40% burns to his body, former undrafted NHL player, Ivy League grad, dad, husband, public speaker, author of a book called The Fighter, coming on the Fight Plan podcast. Dude, cognitive performance coach and an injury coach. And now a musician. Dude, welcome to the pod. This is incredible. This is an honor, dude. What's going on?
Dude, hell of an intro. I'm excited to be here, man. I can't wait to chat. I know we've chatted previously, and I think we're going to have an interesting convo, man.
Are you kidding me with that? Dude, you are exactly who this podcast is made for. Like, the amount of things that you are into, have been through in your life, it's crazy, dude. And our connection of how this has come about is so beautiful too. You know, I'm starting this journey of basically an earlier stage you in my own cookie cutter unique way, and I see this guy who's written a book called The Fighter with him on the front with the shirt off, and I'm going, I need to connect with that dude. And you know, you were so gracious, and we chatted. You sent me your book. I devoured it in less than 2 days. I couldn't put it down. So this is just a beautiful step for me to have this full circle moment of having you on the pod, man. So I just can't say enough about you. We're going to have a hell of a time.
Yeah, dude. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I think you're right, because you got your book coming out, and yeah, it does remind me a lot of like when I was going through that, and it's the next thing, right? And that's the beauty of life, man. It's a journey and it's a ride, and I've certainly been on a hell of one, full of ups and downs. So yeah, man, excited for what's next.
Oh, dude, like it's kind of like there's not many dudes that have done what we're doing, and especially it's on our roles in the game. I mean, it has to play a part of it, right? Of what we've experienced. You have your own experiences with your dad in your own way. You've had the relationship stuff. You had the children, which I haven't, which is incredible. Like, I just feel like I'm looking up at a future version of myself, seeing you, how you go down this path. And this is going to be so fun. So let's just take it all the way back now. People have the grand scope of all the things you are about, but take us back to Revelstoke as a kid, man. Because I read your book, but I want to have everybody else understand Revelstoke and growing up.
Yeah, dude. Well, it's a different town now than when I grew up there with the ski hill, right? That came in 2008, and it really transformed the whole town. It's a really cool hopping ski town and tourism town. But back when I grew up, it wasn't tourism. It was the railroad, the mill, and the dam, like those, right? And it was very blue collar. So yeah, we lived in a little trailer court, and we just like ran the roost of that whole place, man, just on bikes, being menaces. And I can't say enough good things about my childhood. I really can't. Like, and that's where I think my story might be a little bit different. Like, yeah, we were very, I would say middle class. Like, we didn't have a ton of things, but we had a great time. And so that's really all I remember. It's just filled with good memories. My family was like thick as thieves, like we were so close. I mean, my sister and I fought like cats and dogs, but that's to be expected maybe. But yeah, dude, I just like hockey, I played all sports. So just playing sports, being a menace in the trailer park, navigating life as coming into my teenage years with some of the bullies and a little bit of that. But for the most part, it was pretty smooth sailing, man, all full of really good memories. My adversity came later, as you know.
That's it, man. It's another similarity we have. Like, my first 8 years couldn't have been more perfect. Yeah. Like, picture perfect. My parents got divorced, but it didn't even register because they were such good people. They handled it so well that I was like, oh, I get to hang out with dad alone more and mom more alone. I don't care. Yeah. Like, it didn't affect me. But you had that same kind of thing. And I know you mentioned the railway, and I know you mentioned that blue collar, and that's gotta take me to big Tony Volpatti. Like, tell me about this guy, because I know he was just the epitome of a Revelstoke father.
Yeah, dude. I think about my dad every day. I mean, we'll get there. He's obviously not around anymore, but he was such a great man. Like, we're more like brothers at a certain point, which is so cool. And yeah, one of my best friends, if not my best friend. But I mean, the biggest thing I would say is that man would do anything for a laugh. Like, he was all about having fun, man, and getting the most out of every day. And so I idolized him. I still do for that reason. It was just, how much fun can I have? And just how he provided for us, and he worked his ass off. I mean, I could share a million stories of fun times, but one thing that really hit home for me shortly after he passed away, and I didn't even know this growing up, because he was always around. And that's what I remember, right? And I was talking to my mom, and I kind of just, asked like, well, how was that? And she's like, your dad turned down multiple promotions to be able to coach you and be around you. And I was like, fuck. I mean, I'll probably cry a few times thinking about it, but just with me having kids now and being a dad, it just really hit home, right? Like, all this shit, you can't take the things with you, man. It's the time with your family. Like, that's the beauty, right? So,
dude, that's what I remember in your book, like talking about the trailer park, and you're just like, You were like, my dad was just always around. We were always doing something. He would come home from just grinding at the railway.
Yeah.
And it would be no, like, I need a minute, I need a beer. It was just like, what the hell are we doing now with the kids? I can't wait to get here. I'm here. Let's have a fucking time.
I mean, he might have had a beer at the same time, but yes.
At the same time, no, that's different. At the same time, no.
Oh, dude, it'd be like, get on the GT. I'm hooking that up to the snowmobile, and we are gonna burn through the neighborhood, like just random shit like that.
And then you, on our last call, you were sharing some beautiful things, which I want to touch in on at the end here of your highest excitement you're doing. But you shared a story of some of the inspiration behind some of the songs, and we got to get into the potato story here, because people know back in my days of playing, I was telling potato type stories and stuff. This is great shit right here.
Oh man, this is just a perfect example of like that man. He would like have fun at all times. So yeah, we'll get into the songs, but this song I have is called Yukon Golds and Highway Signs, and the story behind it was every hockey road trip we went on. I mean, I also was driving at like a young age, which is insane to think about. Like, he would just let me drive and have a nap. But when he was driving, it could be like 6 a.m. You'd have a coffee and there'd be a big bag of potatoes in the passenger seat. And every trip, we would just hammer every highway sign we could see. And so I just remember the song Kansas, or the song Wayward Son by Kansas, just cranks, and my body's halfway out the window and I'm heaving these potatoes at signs, and we'd cheer and celebrate when it hit. I'd miss the odd one, but yeah, man, it's just like, who does that? I told my oldest boy, and he's super excited. I'm like, you getting ready to shoot some music videos, because we'd be hopping in the car and you're going to hammer some signs. So if I start an epidemic of people hammering highway signs with potatoes, then I guess you can blame me. But there's bigger problems in the world, I think.
That's it. I think all the raccoons and shit would be quite happy with all the potatoes everywhere, dude. But
yeah, totally,
dude. It's so cool. And in writing my book, I mean, I opened it early too with like some memories of my dad. Like, he had like his weird food ritual tendencies, the way he'd do things, the way he'd make certain things. We just thought it was weird, but it was the coolest thing ever. Like, dad was just having fun in his own way. Whatever he said, goed. And that story of you with the potatoes, that's what's so beautiful when somebody shares vulnerably like that. And you can see the passion, the excitement, and the memory, because it just puts all of us back in our own places with our loved ones in it, and it connects us. So what a segue though to the hockey, because what, you kidding me? Like, let's go hockey tournament. Let's get the potatoes. What a way to start it off. You already got like 30 freaking goals in the bag hitting signs by the time you hit the ice.
Right? Talk about the confidence getting up there, just driving myself to the rink and hammering potatoes at signs. Yeah, dude, it was nothing but good things.
So and then take people through the minor hockey, because it's earlier out there. Things happen a little earlier at the Bantam draft, all that stuff. So take us through like the minor hockey journey with your dad, going on those tournaments. What was it like out there? Because I'm an Ontario boy. It's different for me.
Well, I mean, I'll say like the Bantam draft wasn't even a thing. Were you drafted?
Nope.
No. I think we have a lot of similarities, but I think a similar kind of path to the NHL maybe. But yeah, dude, like, I wasn't that good. I really wasn't. I was good in Revelstoke, but that's like 8,000 people, right? And we played house hockey some years because we didn't have enough people. So yeah, I was good. Definitely some baseline level of talent, sure. But I got cut from select teams, and the Bantam draft I didn't even think about it. Like, I was never even good enough to go play major junior. I never got any invite to go play in a major junior camp or tryout. So, and this is a mistake I made, and I touch on it in my book, where, yeah, I kind of gave up on that dream, because we all, maybe not all, but most Canadian kids have that NHL dream at a young age, right? And that's the beauty of being young, is just that innate ability to dream. And so, yeah, I guess you could say I put the governor on that dream at a pretty young age, like maybe 13 or so. I mean, for me, the writing was on the wall. It's like, okay, you're not going to be that. And I kind of just moved past it. So I thought okay, maybe I could play junior A and go get a scholarship. So that was like my NHL and my dream. And so that was, what I was channeling everything toward and what I was doing. But yeah, just played minor hockey. Like the highest level we ever played was single A, sometimes house. And I played junior B in my hometown, graduated high school in grade 12, junior B. So yeah, you talk about the Bantam draft and like I was just trying to sneak into junior B, dude, like and get into junior A after that. And I didn't go to Vernon until 18. So, and I just snuck into that league.
So speak about that though. That must have been, you're not even thinking about these things. You're just hoping to get on junior B, but then you make the Vernon Vipers junior A. What was that like?
Yeah, that was definitely a jump. And the Vipers, we were like number 1, 2 in Canada every year I was there. Like we were very good.
Damn.
Yeah, they were like the Penticton Vs, how they were. Like that's how we used to be. We were the Vs of the league back then. Gotcha. But yeah, man, I'll never forget the GM of Revelstoke. His name was Larry Black. Great human being. But he sat me down. So this is actually after I AP'd a little bit my first year. And then I had, like we all do, right? Like I had a successful year in junior B. I was like point a game. And maybe the head started getting a little bit bigger. And I thought I was a skilled guy a little bit. And so he maybe saw some things creeping into my game, and he pulled me into his office, and I'll never forget this. And he looked me in the eye and he said, "Get this through your head. You are not a goal scorer, and don't ever forget that." But he meant it in a way where like I could hit, dude. Like that was the thing. Fighting kind of came from that, and I could hold my own, but I had a knack for hitting even at a very young age. I could hit. I wasn't big, but I could hit. And so he said, "That is your ticket. Don't lose sight of that." And he was so right. And so when I went to Vernon, that's what I had to do. And actually, you know what? Even jumping up every level, it's like, yeah, you add the layers to your game and you become, well-rounded and even start producing some points in year 2 or 3 at whatever level. But every jump, it's like, all right, we got to go back into the toolbox and pull out the gloves and start being a prick and start trying to kill people, dude. I was reckless, and it served me well. And that was no different in Vernon. I wasn't, and it's eye-opening, right? Everyone's that much better, and you're like, all right, this is how I'm going to stay here, right?
Dude, our journeys are so similar because I'm the one that's read your book, right? My book's not out yet, so I can see them. Like, dude, I was 17 and I started playing major AAA, and the coach knew I was trying out for junior A teams. He's like, "Kid, I see how hard you go and want it, but he's like, it ain't going to be scoring goals or skating circles around people. You're going to have to hit." And he's like, "I know if you hit the way I'm telling you to, you're going to have to fight." It was the exact same conversation.
Yeah. Well, so it's funny, going back to my dad, I remember I was going to the Vernon's camp. I think I had signed, but that doesn't always guarantee anything, right? So, and we knew that we have to go back to like those hitting ways, and I'm going to be fighting. And my dad knew I was going to be fighting some big Sasky boys that were 20, 21 years old. So we started boxing in the backyard. I'll never forget this, dude, because I boxed growing up. My dad was a Golden Gloves boxer. Like he could box.
Oh yeah, I read that. I remember that. Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, it served me well with fighting later on. But yeah, that summer we started strapping on the gloves, and I remember my mom came home from work one day, and we're in the backyard and we're beating the shit out of each other. Like now my dad's probably taking it a little bit easy on me, I would have assumed. But my mom's banging on the glass, like, "What the hell are you guys doing?" Like, there's probably blood. And I remember my dad, he's like, "I'm going to give you body shots as hard as I can. I'm not going to hit you in the face." And we started going, and I fucking dropped him bad. And he was like in the grass, and he's like, kind of came to, he's like, "I thought I smelled some nitrogen." And anyway, dude, it was like, yeah, just another fun memory. But yeah, we got on the gloves because I had to, kind of get back to that.
You had to. Your first year for the Vernon Vipers, I'm looking at the PIM totals, okay? Everybody, listen to this. Cole Byers, 52 games, 235 PIMs. Luke Pierce, 53 games, 223. Wilkins, 175, 130, 120, 100, and then down to you, 134. Like in 50 games for everybody. You had 7-8 guys and the other guys were just under 100. It was just a different time.
Isn't it funny to see all the penalty minutes, like the triple digits? There's like 7 guys back in the day. I don't think you see one of them anymore. But yeah, dude, I mean, I think I had around 20 fights that year, just again, it was what we had to do. Right? I got the shit kicked out of me a few times. That's how you learn. I mean, right? So
that's the only way. The first year I started fighting in the OHL, they put a 10-fight rule, and thank God I would have died if there was an unlimited.
Oh, they had that back then?
Yeah, they put it in that. So that's what saved me. That's why I looked the way I do, because I had 137 fights, but they put the fight rule, 10-fight rule in the A my second year too. I would have had 300 fights if they didn't put those in.
Yeah.
I got saved a little bit, but you were back in the day where there was no holds barred. There was nothing stopping anybody. It was just like rock and sock 'em, like Broad Street Bullies hockey.
Oh yeah. So what year are you born? How old? What's their difference?
93.
Yeah. So and I'm an 85. So I was like right on, I think I was on the cusp of like, it was old school coming into the newer school. Right. So I got a taste of like the junior hockey back in the early 2000s. Yes. And it was still the wild, wild west a little bit. Like, line brawls, every game, fights. There was never a game without a fight ever. Usually multiple, right? Like
what about training camp?
Warm up brawls. Like,
what about training camp?
Yeah, it was a big part of it for sure.
Dude, so you're on Vernon now. You're a savage. You're getting into your 19-year-old year. You're feeling freaking good. You're not far from home. And it gets to April 20th, my birthday, my 12th birthday, 2005.
That's your birthday?
My birthday, 2005. Life changes pretty quick for you. So take us through that for everybody who doesn't know your story.
Yeah, dude. I could say we could go on forever. I guess what I would say is to preface it, and I guess I've already kind of done that, but yeah, I was labeled as like the crazy kid from Revelstoke. I wasn't a huge guy. I was scrapping everyone. And I was kind of the guy that if they said jump, I'd say how high. And I just do stupid shit for a laugh, attention. I got some attention from the girls because I was like that crazy guy, So I think I'm just feeding the ego looking back now, right?
That's it, man.
And yeah, so my second year, again, I kind of expanded my game. I was still scrapping, not as much. I think I had like 18 or 20 points. So penalty killing, like playing a bit more of a role. And we lost to the Surrey Eagles in the finals. And then we would go on the bender, right? Like that's what we did back in the day. It was a week-long bender. And every year or the year prior, we had gone camping out in the woods for day 3 or something like that. And, again, part of my recklessness was I was a bit of a pyro. So at these camping things, I was just fucking around with gas and fire and making beer bombs and doing stupid shit. Like not smart, but again, I'm 19, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not thinking about any repercussions. And so this year, after we lost to Surrey, the guys, are kind of egging me on. They're like, hey, you going to do the pyro show again? You going to get the party going? I was like, well, fuck yeah, we're going to get it going. So I'm thinking in my head, okay, how can I make this bigger and better? And I'm like, well, I need more gas. So the year prior, I was just, filling up beer bottles with gas and putting the lid on and setting it in the fire, clear everyone back. And it would be like this big flamethrower. Again, not smart, right? Dude, I look back and I'm like, I probably should have died. Like thinking about some of this shit I did. And so this year I thought, okay, I need more gas. And I filled up 2 wine bottles full of gas. So I have them in my sweater pocket, kind of like the kangaroo pouch, right? And I'm walking around this party. The whole team's there. There's other people, some girls there. There's probably 40 people there. And I'm getting everyone amped up. I'm going to do this big finale kind of thing and blow these things up. And all of a sudden I was soaking wet. So the bottoms of the bottles had hit, and that, 1.5 liters of gas had spilled basically all over my torso and my legs. And this is where it gets a little bit, I would say a little bit foggy. Like, we had been drinking, obviously. I don't think I would do this sober. But I just remember thinking, okay, I'm soaking wet. I reek like gas. And I went to throw my sweater in the fire. And to this day, I don't know why I did that. I think maybe I just didn't want to throw it on the ground and leave it there. And I thought, okay, well, I'll just burn it, right? But I realized this later in the burn unit that the vapors around that and the gas are very dangerous and flammable, right? So I knew there was a fire there. I knew I had gas on myself. I would say I wasn't a complete idiot. Now, maybe that is not true. I don't know. But yeah, like, I got about maybe 5 feet away and I tossed it, and I kind of say it was like a detonator cord to dynamite, and that trail just followed the dirt and up I went. And I was like a flaming ball of fire. And, that fight, flight, or freeze kicks in. And yeah, dude, we're fighters, right? I couldn't fight it. There's nothing I can fight now. So I hit flight and I started running, which was the worst thing I could have done because I was pretty fast. And I was just shot out of a cannon through these barren woods on fire, dude. Obviously there's no video. No one had phones. There's no video or anything of it or pictures, but it was like out of a movie. It was very out of body. I remember that. And that's, as you could say, I guess that's where the journey like really started for my, not only hockey career, but I would argue, life. That's where, because it started with the hell and the adversity through that.
Everything up to that point had been smooth sailing to 19. You're like on the cusp of, hey, some little bit of teams are talking to me for scholarship. Like, everything's
not even.
Not yet. Nothing. Not that. I
hadn't even talked to a single scout yet. Nothing.
Oh wow, dude!
So I was going into my last year.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's like you said though. Like, adversity is going to hit us all at some point. We're fighters on the ice, and then the fight in life finds us. So it finds you there, and next thing you know, you're airlifted to Vancouver General, man. Was that just? I mean, I remember reading in the book, you did such a great job of, obviously why you did such a great job too is what ended up helping you. The description was so vivid, and you're saying it's out of body. Did you, when people say that, I remember I've had experiences like that, and I always like to differentiate. Did it actually feel like you were separate looking back at your body, or just like you weren't there? Because I haven't had that separation from the body.
No.
And looking back, it just wasn't there.
Totally. That's what I would say it was. I didn't ever have a feeling like I was looking down, or I will say, I don't know how long I was on fire for, obviously too long. Or thankfully not long enough, because it could have been much worse. But I remember at one point, because everyone's chasing me, right? They're chasing me, begging me to stop, but I'm not hearing anything. I'm just, I hear these muffled voices maybe in the background, and I'm doing the stop, drop, and roll. And you can't put out a gas fire. You have to smother it. I don't know that in the moment, right? So I'm slapping around and I'm dropping. My clothes are burning off. And I remember getting back up, and I kept running. And then at one point I remember having a thought, and this is where everything started to really like slow down into slow motion. And this is where I don't think I was close to dying. I think it would have gotten there, obviously, if I was, couldn't get this fire out. But yeah, it was just but I never was out of body in the sense of looking down at myself. I think more to what you said, just
yes.
You're somewhere else. But I remember everything really slowed down. And I remember thinking, like, could this be it? Like, I could die because I can't get this fire out. And right at that moment, that's when I finally got tackled from behind from the guys that were chasing me down. So thankfully, maybe I stopped. I don't know. I don't even remember what happened, but
right.
Yeah. I got tackled and beat down and smothered. And
it's interesting because I read like near-death experience and stuff. Those people always leave. That's like that point where they do actually, part of them dies and leave the body. But you were, like you said, you probably were getting close to that point where that might have started to happen. But for whatever reason, your path was, nope, you're about to go through some pain now.
motherfucker.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
So,
Oh, hell yeah.
And for, I'll be honest and vulnerable here, like growing up, I don't know why, just like I'm sure other people relate, whether it's they have heights or they have drowning. For me, it was fire. For me, it was burning alive, reading about people getting, burned alive at the stake for their religious views back in the day or being against the church, whatever. That just, Joan of Arc, all that shit messed me up. So reading this was very visceral to me, and it really sucked me right into every word of your book. So take us from there, man, because you get airlifted and you're just in a whole different reality all of a sudden.
Yeah, dude. So, I mean, that ride to the hospital was hell. That's the height of, I would say that's the pinnacle of pain. Like I started blacking out because the shock eventually wears off, I would say after about 10 minutes, and it was pure hell. I've never felt pain like that, and hopefully never will. And hopefully no one ever has to. But yeah, so because we had no service where we were in the middle of nowhere, right? So again, kind of worst case scenario in that sense. But yeah, I remember, this is to shed a little bit of humor on the whole story, but I remember running into the emergency room, right? So picture the emergency room we're talking like 1 a.m. here. So I always say you probably have the screaming baby. Maybe the old guy has some chest pains. You got the guy that got the shit kicked out of him at the bar. He needs to get cleaned up. And then in runs this, I'm completely naked. There's nothing left of my clothes. Completely naked. I'm fucking screaming in pain. And I'm dirty. There's like rocks embedded in my skin and shit. And I can't imagine what, again, I can laugh about it now, but what everyone must have thought. And they must have just been like, oh yeah, you can help him. Or, hey, take a number and have a seat. We'll be right with you. Like, and so that's the last memory I have, was seeing the nurse's face, because she was kind of on her clipboard and walking towards me. And she was just like, holy fuck, what is this? And they must have knocked me out, because that's the last thing I remember. And yeah, dude, I woke up in Vancouver the next day. I didn't even know I was in Vancouver. I thought I was in Vernon still. And the first, like, I would say 3 days were pretty foggy. Like I was just hopped up on morphine and just kind of like in this in-between state of sleeping and wakefulness. And it was just it was a weird feeling. But I just remember seeing my parents' faces kind of like in a blurry focus. I could tell I was bandaged head to toe, could barely kind of see. And yeah, my first real like concrete memory came the morning of day 3. So I had to get a debridement procedure done every day.
Oh, dude, that word, I didn't know that word before your book. And that just gives me the, wow.
Yeah. It's still, yeah, it triggers me too. Still, it's basically torture, dude. Like you swell up so much from those 3rd-degree burns that they have to like essentially cut you open to relieve pressure. And they take like a high-powered pressure washer and they just slough off all that necrotic tissue. So again, like I'm not awake for this, thank God. I was for my
You were later.
Yeah, not for long. They thought I don't know how the hell they would expect anyone to be able to sit through that. No chance. I think I couldn't move, but I think I might have jumped off the metal table at that point.
That part of your book, when you looked at them, they're like, wait, you're not giving me meds for this one? You're taking me in there like this? And they're like, yeah, we're gonna, kind of try. And you were like, ha.
Yeah, dude. It was, so the issue for me was that these are at the time, this is the 10 worst burns in the province, right? In Vancouver, right? So I was not in that top half, I would say, right? There's people in comas that are like fighting for their life and shit. So I kept getting, my surgery was supposed to happen. I kept getting bumped because these other cases would come in. And so, yeah, we got to a point about a month into my stay where they're like, we really don't want to knock you out under anesthetic like every other day. Like it's not good. Or I don't know what the research is behind it, but they're like, yeah, so if you can just try. And like you said, I didn't know what to expect, but it didn't last long. Let's just say that. And I have a high fucking pain tolerance and it did not last long. They gave me one shot of that water, and it felt like a knife driving into my flesh. Like, no chance. So anyway, this first procedure, I'm coming out of the anesthetic, and the pain after that is, yeah, I mean, it's almost indescribable. I try and do it in my book, but it's not good. And so I'm waking up, and the doctor walks into my room, because at this point we didn't know like how burnt I was. I was totally bandaged those first few days, and the doctor hadn't gotten a look at me yet, right? So that's partly what this procedure was for, was to keep everything clean and get ready for the skin grafts, but also so the doctor could see, okay, like, what are we working with here? And this is my first memory. I'm waking up, and he walks into my room, and first he looks at my parents, because they're a complete wreck, right? They don't know, like, am I even going to make it at this point? They have no idea. And so the doctor says that. He's like, your son is not going to die. He's going to be okay. Here's the bad news. He's 40% second, third degree burns. There's significant damage to his legs, torso, right arm, and hand. The good news is that he will make a full recovery, and that his face won't be permanently scarred. So, dude, I was so lucky. Like, my skin grafts are basically like nipples to knees. And so, I mean, facial burns that's a different beast. So I was very lucky. It was just like I had a very bad sunburn that was like blistering on my face for when that time came to see it. But so he said, that's the good news. But he said, you're going to be in here for a long time. So get comfortable. We're going to take it a day at a time. You know, we're going to focus on rest and pain management, and hopefully get this skin graft surgery done here in the next couple weeks, kind of thing. And that was it. And so I think my parents felt some like, oh, they could breathe and not relax, but take some solace in that. Dude, for me, all I could think about in that moment was like, okay, how long is this guy talking about? Because I had training camp in like 3.5 months. Right. And going back to our conversation, like I was chasing that scholarship, and I had, jumped up a line, was playing a bigger role, and I was expected to play, a bigger role, even a top 6 role this next year. I was like, I know I can get a fucking scholarship somewhere. Maybe it's Div 3 somewhere. I don't care. Right. And so I asked the doctor that, what, like, I have training camp. What does that look like in a few months? Dude, I'll never forget the look on this guy's face. Like, he looked at me like I was still on fire. And I don't know if he's supposed to hide his expression, but he couldn't. And now to paint the picture for you, like, imagine I'm fully wrapped head to toe like a mummy. I got like my oxygen thing in my nose. My eyes are just, you can barely see them. My mouth is slightly exposed, and that's it. And I'm asking him this question. Yeah, dude, he didn't have to say much. Like, that expression told me everything. I was like, oh shit, it's over. And he eventually did say, you're probably still going to be in here, and your rehab will just be getting started. Like, these recoveries take years, not months. And he said, we'll get you in a pair of skates in a non-competitive environment years down the road when this whole thing's complete. But it's going to be a long journey. So, dude, that was it. Like, it was over at that point.
Dude, this part of your book, this is what it's all about. I mean, the stuff I'm into, the power of the mind, the spiritual path, my healing journey. Right. I got to ask here, like, when your mind had nothing, when you found that there was nothing really to lean on, this is when everything started for you, and the first seeds of your recovery were planted, right?
Absolutely. I know for a fact I would have never made the NHL without having gone through this. So
clip that. Put that on the freaking podcast clips, people. Holy shit, right? Dude.
So that was my first 2 weeks in that burn unit. Like, it was over. Right. So I'm trying to balance, like, on one hand, I'm down and depressed. I'm in a fucking ton of pain. So it's mostly about managing that every second of every day. I describe it as like, do you have tattoos?
Yep.
Oh yeah, you do. Dude, it feels like you're getting tattooed every second of every day. It just doesn't go away. That's what it feels like. The debridement days are a completely different animal. That's a 10 out of 10. But so I'm managing that. I'm down and depressed about what the fuck my life is supposed to look like now. I'm not going to be a hockey player. I don't get to go chase down this dream. But, you know, on the other side of that was gratitude that I was A, alive, that B, I was going to make a full recovery, and I could still go to school. I could still have a family. That brings up another funny point, but I remember. Well, yeah, dude, I remember. I don't remember what day it was, but when I was trying to lean into some of this gratitude, when I thought about family, and right when you're 19, like you got big plans for using that thing down there, right? So I was like, oh shit, like, is it even there? I haven't even thought about that yet. And so I asked the doctor that. He's like, it'll be okay. I mean, not to give you too much info or the listeners, but yeah, it was okay. It was burnt, but it was okay. So my funny story, my buddies on the team the next year, they called me charred wood. I don't know if you want to edit that one out or not.
No, we want it all, baby. It's the fight plan. We want all the gory details. We want everything.
Dude, that's why one of the things I love about hockey and the camaraderie and the brotherhood and the humor, because listen, I couldn't have done this alone. I know, like in the book, it might, maybe not the book, from an outsider's point of view, it might seem like I did it alone. I couldn't have done it alone. No chance. So my dad, and we can get into more of my dad and that support, but dude, my teammates, I don't think I could have done it without them. And the humor, like I showed up in my fucking burn suit for that first day of camp. I shouldn't have been playing hockey, and we'll get there. But one of my best buddies to this day, like best man at my wedding, he comes up. This is when you used to burn CDs, right? And no pun intended, but he hands me this CD as I walk into the room, and everyone's giving me a big hug. And the CD says Charred Wood, and it was all songs about fire. It was like Johnny Cash, like The Ring of Fire, Billy Joel, We Didn't Start the Fire. Fuck, dude, like you can't help but laugh, right? And that's the beauty of like, yeah, we don't mince words, man. We're just like, you fucking idiot. What are you doing? Now you're charred wood. Like that was and it helped heal, like the humor did, right?
Yes. There's parts of a locker room that, you know, we want to get better, but my goodness, the parts we want to preserve of when there's an issue, you just run right at that motherfucker, right, and you all pull it back and deal with it together. That is so beautiful, man. A playlist like that is amazing, dude.
So it's just a funny memory I have. But so yeah, I was leaning into gratitude a little bit and thought about that. And then, yeah, dude, everything changed again around week 2. I got a call from my coach in Vernon. So how's this for just, you know, like energy and everything in the world? So my junior coach is at like some showcase or something in Vancouver at the, what was it called back then? GM Place, maybe the arena. Anyway, he's sitting at the rink where I would later play, which is fucking crazy to think about right now. Like in that moment, he sits beside this coach from Brown. Just happened to, and they get talking, and the coach from Brown ends up saying, so he's telling me this on the phone, and the coach from Brown said, you know, we're looking for a guy to put the fear of God in the defenseman of the Ivy League. And my coach goes, holy fuck, do I have the perfect guy for you? There's just one major problem. He's laid up in the burn unit and it's not looking good. So he's telling me this, and he said, they want to talk to you. So give him a call. We take down the number. So I'm still completely bedridden. Like my hands aren't even exposed yet. My parents take down the number. They put the phone between my shoulder and my ear, and I talk to this coach from Brown. This is the first time I've ever talked to a scout, ever, or a coach. And yeah, it was pretty open-ended. You know, they just said, we're sorry to hear what happened. Wish you the best in recovery, and hopefully we get to see you play one day down the road. I mean, we both knew I was going into my last year of junior hockey eligibility and that it likely wasn't going to happen. Right. And so, yeah, dude, I remember this so vividly. My parents hung up that phone and I just broke down, like all of that past 2 weeks and where it had come to. It was just too much. And I think just trying to manage the pain, and it just all fucking came out. And my parents and I had a good cry. That's when the light bulb went off for me, man. It was like, okay, I started asking myself questions like, so I can't play hockey in a few months. Like, why is that? And there was a really good long list of reasons. Like, infection was really, really high risk. The skin grafts were going to be too limiting, too painful. Like, those would take years to heal. I had to wear a full body suit after my, surgery and rehab was done for 2 years, which would be restricting. I can't sweat from those areas now. So we didn't know. At this point, we still didn't know, like, is it 40% more leaning third degree or is it more second degree? I don't know what the number eventually was, but like I have big third degree grafts on my torso and my legs. So maybe it was 20, 30, I don't know. But if you can't sweat from a big part of your body, which, again, they didn't know what coverage that was going to be, there's complications there, right? With playing an elite sport. So the list just went on and on and on. And yeah, man, I don't know. Like, I think the mistake I made was I let that doctor take that dream from me. I gave it to him. It was like, here you go. And in that moment, I fucking grabbed that back and I made a choice. I was like, because you know what? We've all heard of these stories of people doing impossible things or defying the impossible. And I was just like, maybe this is like my impossible. Like, let's go see what's possible. And dude, I made a choice to protect that dream with my life. Like, I'm not, again, when we are 19, different time in your life. Like, I truly made a decision. I would die. I would be okay with dying. Now, I wasn't going to die. The real risk was infection. That was very real. That could kill me. But again, I made a choice that I was okay with that risk. And yeah, I really set out on a quest for like human potential and what was the mind and the body capable of. I was going to go find out. Like, that was my path. And so people ask me, because this is what I do now, right? With the visualization in my business that I teach, this is how I discovered it. Because once I made that choice, I was fucking bedridden. I couldn't move. So there wasn't anything physically I was able to do at that point. So all I had were my thoughts and the pain all day long. And so I started rewriting that movie, as I like to say. And man, I can't tell you like how much of a superpower that was. Well, you read the book, right? But it completely changed everything.
And brother, I mean, with my dad and everything, I made the same choice in my own way. I made the same fucking choice that I don't care what I have to do, who I have to kill, get killed.
Yep.
I don't care. I'm going to the NHL. So it's so crazy how we all have our own fight in life, and it comes about in very different ways. And people love to compare, and that's comparison's the thief of joy. It's like, you have a unique journey and you're going to have a point to make at some point. You're going to have to decide what we decided in some way, shape, or form. Some people, it's their deathbed. Some people, it's in the burn unit. Some people, it's when they lose their dad, whatever it is. And you just said, fuck it, let's go.
Yeah. Dude, this reminds me of, I've had this conversation so much lately with like youth sports and the craziness. This is like a bit of a side note, but when you just said like, I will kill anyone on the way, like, dude, I think about some of the kids coming, because my oldest son is in this world now, and yeah, man, like these kids just have no idea. The parents have no idea where you put your kid now at 7, 8 years old. They play hockey 330 days of the year. We pay for them to play at the highest level, or what we think is the highest level. And like, there's no adversity. And then they're going to go try out for junior. They're going to have guys like you and me and other people you've had on this podcast literally trying to kill them. And they're going to be like, no, thanks.
No,
I'm
thanks.
done. No, thanks. Because, yeah, dude, like we were the same. Like, I care more about my dream than your well-being. I really do not care. And that was the mentality, right or wrong. It served us very well.
I could not agree more. People don't understand how severely we're saying that with truth. Like, we genuinely would have killed you I would have killed a box of kittens. I didn't care. And like you said, right or wrong, that's where we were at the time, when we were lost in the ego of life and a young, dumb, full of cum, like just crazy fucker, and that's just the reality of this journey. And I would never put my own kid in it unless they were like beating down the door. I'd say, hey, I'll support you, but I'm never going to recommend it, but go for it.
Yeah, I mean, the game has changed, but it's still there's still people like that out there, right? And it's intimidating. There's still intimidation in the game, and there's still people that this role is coming back, I would say, right? So it ain't going anywhere.
And they can play now, like Mathieu Olivier, 6'1", 230, scoring 3 points in 4 games with the World Championship U.S. team with an assistant captain on his sweater.
I'm so glad I fucking don't have to fight these guys right now. Like, they're nails, man. I mean, I would have and probably got my ass kicked. But you would have done one of your classics, bury someone with an instigator. Yeah.
That was your ticket to the show. So, dude, you take us through, like, you literally did something that's not supposed to be possible. And this is the part of, like, people like to hear these stories and shit. It's like, I've lived a story like this in my own way, and you have. So tell them in your mind what happened. How did you make an impossible task of being on the ice in 3 months to then have a huge season in your last year of junior? How is that possible for you?
Yeah, dude, it was all this mind movie I was playing in my head. I would say what I was able to do was transport myself out of that shitty physical reality and into this other reality where anything was possible. I could be whoever I wanted, right? And I didn't realize what I was doing at the time. It started happening pretty quick, I would say, though, in terms of that belief system switching and building, and just the trust. And again, like blowing the roof off the ceiling of what we think is possible. I had been there in my head. And so this is what I teach now. Like, this is very true for performance and rehearsal. Our brain doesn't know the difference, right, between physically and mentally experiencing something. So I know this now, right? I didn't know it at the time. And so when you talk about the mind movie and a future version of yourself, if we can cultivate emotion in that having an experience, because that's what experience is, right? It's emotion. So I was cultivating that emotion in this practice I was having. So I was rewiring my brain for things we just talked about, like, get out of the fucking way, I'm coming, right? And I truly started to believe that. So that's in a nutshell how I did it. Now,
I think here's a point though to drill down, because you and me, like you said, you didn't even realize you were doing it, and it happened. So that was like our path for whatever reason. But you obviously teach people who aren't in those moments, right? So in that part, where do you think it went from I'm rehearsing this mental movie and the emotion came in? Because we just had so much abundance of emotion, but other people can cultivate that when they don't have it, correct? Like, you can practice cultivating it. You have to have that delusional optimism to believe it before you believe it.
100%. And it does take practice to get good at it. Now, I will say, like, what makes a movie really good, right? What do you think?
Music and emotion, to me. I don't know, like the background, that feeling, the ambiance of it.
So, and it's like, it's the fucking underdog. It's the comeback story. It's like the not supposed to happen. So I had that. So my movie took on emotion real quick, right? Because of where I was in that moment and living that future version. So, like, I had already become that in my present world. And that's the shift I was able to pull myself out of. And of course, there were still challenges along the way. But, like, listen, the doctors were right. I had no business playing hockey. I really should not have been playing hockey. Like, I had open 2nd-degree burns for 6 months. I could barely walk. I had all these complications. I had kidney stones, emergency appendectomy a week before camp. Like my body was just like, what are you doing? We're trying to heal from this major trauma. And I'm trying to like train. I could barely walk. But again, at that vision, like it starts to become a part of us. So that's the part that we train, that I train with other athletes or even non-athletes. If you can create emotion and literally start to rewire your brain, that vision starts to become a part of you. And that's where the power is in terms of like setting that intention every day, because the choices and the habits and the belief, they all start to align with the vision. And that's the power.
And that literally turns into like its own like painkiller, right? Like you were literally physically doing things you weren't supposed to be able to do because your body said, oh, we're doing this whether we want to or not. So we better manufacture what we need to get this done. And it just healed your tissues faster.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I was out of that hospital in 6 weeks. I was supposed to be in there for like 3 months. Like they were dumbfounded, dude. And that's another part of the practice I haven't even talked about was I would literally visualize all day long of healing, like at a cellular level. Like I would just send energy, imagine that those 3rd-degree burn areas shrinking and healing, and reframing the pain as like, instead of, because typically we have a relationship with pain of like, go away, this hurts bad. I welcomed it. I was like, give me it. Give me the pain. And like, it was fuel. And dude, a pain is a response in the brain, right? So that was something that changed quite quick. And I was just like, holy shit, I might be onto something here.
Brother, that part of my journey and my own healing journey, that's Tantra. That's Kashmir Shaivism in the East. And that's welcoming experience. And when you get close to it, Rupert Spira, this teacher, calls it kissing the toad. What happens? You kiss the toad, it turns into the prince. You get so close to it and don't run from it, that underlying feeling just transforms into fucking bliss.
Isn't it? It's crazy. Like just how powerful the mind is. It really is. So that was my firsthand experience with the power of the mind and going through this adversity in the hospital.
And I guess like when I read the book and you went through that, I'm like, obviously, when you read a memoir, you know where the person gets to and making NHL. And I'm just like, no fucking shit. He made it after this. Like, it's just like, I didn't want to say it's shooting fish in the barrel, but you knew the blueprint now.
Right. And that's what I say. I had to go through this. Now, I'm not saying people should go start fucking around with gas and fire. Right. But that's the beauty of I would say life, but that's what makes the movie good. So when you go through hard times, which we all will, you're supposed to go through that. That's for you. It's for the movie. That's what's going to make it great. And so that's what I realize now and what I'm doing now and everything. But yeah, and that's what I teach everyone is like, even if you haven't gone through the adversity, like it will come, and we're going to reframe that for the plot of your movie. It's going to be even better. Right. So yeah, dude, I came back to play that year. I shouldn't have been. I could barely move. And it's funny, like if you look at my stats on HockeyDB or whatever, I only played like 20 or 25 games, I think, that last year.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was holding on by a thread. I really was. Every day I questioned it because we're human, right? That's what we do. And the pain was relentless, dude. And I wanted to give up at some point every single day because it hurt so fucking bad. But that vision was the single greatest thing that guided me through that whole thing. So I finally got to a point where I was like, I would sit out the odd game because I couldn't even walk. I was on crutches coming to the rink. We're getting shot up with everything just so I could play. And Brown, I knew, was coming to watch me in like November. So I was just like trying to get through it till then. And they came to watch me. Long story short, I eventually flew out there. I committed, and we had to make a decision, myself, my family, my coaches, the coaches at Brown, to be like, okay, you did it. The movie's happened. Like maybe we should try and heal. Because like, again, I'm not saying it wouldn't be possible, but the fact that I had did it and what I was putting my body through, you know, it was pretty crazy. So I think we just said, let's heal. And
you were hard pressed to even make it to college next season, let alone continue to play fucking games.
Yeah, I dealt with this my first year in college, all the complications still, right? So yeah, that was my last year. I decided to, you know, just rest, go do the rehab. I was still around the team, but yeah, I gave myself permission to let the body heal a little bit.
Yeah, man. And then, I mean, hey, we could turn this into 2 podcasts or we could zoom through it a bit. But I mean, I loved your 4 years at Brown in your book of how you just systematically built the will in your body back to the point of your captain year where you were just a fucking animal. Like I loved hearing how, because you're not the tallest guy, but you were thick, man. Like you were 216. I think you said your senior year.
Yeah, I think I'm probably 40 pounds lighter than that now, but
I'm 50.
Yeah, really? Yeah. You're like me. We just dwindle away if we don't, you know, do the Olympic lifting and all the shit we used to do, right? But I mean, it's better than going the other way, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Brown was. This was an interesting time because I think that's something people don't realize. Where, like, that was it for me. Like I had done it. That was my NHL. And I think after having gone through this experience in the burn unit, like your perspective on life also changes, right? So, dude, I went to Brown and I just had fun. Like I lived the US college experience, and a hell of an experience it was. Like I worked my ass off, don't get me wrong, but I played 4th line, wasn't going to be, you know, a top guy anytime soon. And that was the case my first 3 years. I was taking pre-med and was going to be like, I'm going to have as much fun as I can, get my grades where they need to be, and then I'm going to go be a doctor. Like that was my plan. And I guess you could say like part 2 of the movie or the book really came in this other, again, epiphany, fork in the road moment, whatever we want to call it. My coach pulled me aside after my junior year, or my assistant coach, sorry, and he said, hey, have you ever thought about playing pro hockey? And dude, I remember I laughed in his face and I was like, Sterl is like, I've never even talked to a scout. I don't have an agent. I play on the 4th line on one of the worst teams in the country. Like we sucked. And so I'm like, no, it's never crossed my mind ever. I didn't think it was a realistic, you know, possibility. And again, that was a mistake I made, right? Especially having gone through what I went through, but that's just not where my head was at. And another mistake I made was like totally abandoning that visualization practice that had given me so much, right? Because I didn't have the wherewithal, like, hey, if you can do that, what else could you do? I just didn't. I was young and dumb, right? So yeah, he told me that. I went home that night, and that's when the second light bulb started going off. And it was like, maybe I could play pro hockey. Like that would be pretty fucking cool. Right. Especially after what I've gone through, coming up through Revelstoke, never really supposed to make it, was never that good. And yeah, dude, right away I got transported back to the burn unit when I heard that phone call from the coach. It was like the same moment at different times. And I made that same choice right in that moment. I said, fuck, making the NHL seems a lot easier than what I had been through here. So that's where, again, I say I would have never made it if I hadn't gone through that, because it wasn't as hard. I don't think anything could be. So yeah, once I made that choice, I thought, okay, what got me out of that burn unit? And it was the mind. It was that visualization practice, right? So my movie was still really fucking good in terms of the adversity and overcoming and those odds. But now the ending was the NHL, right? And so, dude, I had so much confidence and trust in myself and in that journey, because again, I had seen it. I had already been there. I felt it. It was real, right? And in terms of like the rehearsal imagery, like I played that season in my head thousands of times, dude. Like I had already been there. And again, this is where I talk about, like in my programs, this starts to drive the obsession, Because the reality is, whatever the dream is, if it's sports, music, life, this isn't like, okay, Aaron's telling me I can visualize my movie and then I go binge watch Netflix and scroll through Instagram all day, like, and then it's going to come true. Like, obviously not, right? And so that was another driving force, was just the obsession that this movie bred in me. And this is where we're getting to our point. Like, I would have literally killed you before falling short or giving up. And dude, and this is where, like, I packed on 20 pounds that summer. I was a beast. And I was almost 25. And this is where, like, people are in such a rush. The fact that I was 25 and 215 playing against like some 18 and 19-year-olds, like, there was some serious injuries, like collapsed lungs, broken ribs, like concussions. I mean, I hate visiting that, because now I think back and I'm like, the sick part of me wouldn't really care if I broke your bones. I'd be like, good, to get out of the way. But looking back, like with the brain injuries and what we know now, like, that's the part I have a hard time with in some of these injuries that we've given to people. Career-ending ones. I've had some where the guy's been out for minutes, and you're just like, at the time you had that mentality, but looking back now, I feel that remorse, right? And just where that can lead, right? Anyway, that's a different conversation, but I wouldn't say it's a regret, because that would be explaining it the wrong way. But I think remorse, there would be remorse there.
I couldn't agree more. I call it a decent regret. Like, would you do that again now? Would you do it again now? No. Okay, then forget about it. That's what my teacher, Michael Singer, teaches. But man, that second decision you made, decision in the burn unit to get out, and then that second decision to make the NHL, that's the same thing that I made the decision to make the NHL for my dad, despite him. And then the decision to heal in my healing journey was the exact same thing, the exact same switch flipped of like, I did that, so I can easily do this. It was the same thing. And that's why I tell people, no matter what you're doing, I don't care if it's piano, violin, ultimate frisbee, master something, get obsessed with the highest excitement. It will teach you what you need to know later on, and you'll be ready to handle life's problems.
Totally, dude. And that's where I'm at now in this other venture, which we can get to. But remind me because when you talk about your dad, it just reminds me of just different things my dad has said and done along the way. But there was a moment in the burn unit. But yeah, I just want to finish up and say, like, I was shot out of a fucking cannon my senior year. Played fourth line for 3 years. My senior year, I had a point a game, led the team in penalty minutes, and that combo got a lot of attraction, right? It's like, holy shit, he's this, but he's also putting up points. And so, man, I went from like 6 months, I went from no one in the NHL knowing who I was to everyone knowing who I was. I had 8 contract offers after my senior year. It happened so quick, dude. Like, it seemed like it went by in the blink of an eye. But again, it was all because of this visualization practice and what it drove me to do. But so here's like a funny, I say ending, but that's not right, because when you start in the American League, dude, you are just starting, as you know, right? Like that, you think the grind is over, it's just beginning. And I think, it sounds like a very similar path where I made again, had to make the decision to, I'm not going to be the top 6 guy. Like, you know what? Initially, when I went to the AHL, I signed a pretty big deal in the American League with the Canucks. I started there, and then all of a sudden things started to dry up. And it was like, okay, I got to go back to who Aaron Volpatti is truly. Anyway, and I eventually made it full time. But
can we just say, like, visualized his way to his hometown NHL team, not just any NHL team? You got to pick your fucking hometown team.
So this is the funny part of the ending of the story was when I made that choice at Brown, like, I didn't tell anyone about this plan I had, right? It was just this sacred kind of world I got to live in. And now my teammates knew it was going to happen because I was starting to talk to scouts after every game, and it was starting to happen, right? But I don't know, right or wrong, I never told my family. I never told anyone because it hadn't happened yet. So I don't know. There wasn't anything to share, right? And so they knew I was having a good year and that I mean, what they really knew what I had shared was like, I might give the pro hockey thing a shot for a year or two kind of thing. Like go bum in the East Coast for a little bit and just for experience to say you did it, which what a hell of an experience to play pro hockey at any level, right?
Yeah.
So they said, hey, cool. And then I was going to go to medical school. Like that was what they thought was going to happen. And so when I signed my deal with Vancouver out of college, I called them, obviously, as one would. Dude, I'll never forget this. I said, hey, mom and dad, you know how I told you I had been talking with some scouts? And they said, yeah. I said, yeah, well, I kind of lied. By scouts, I meant NHL scouts. And there was this stretch of silence on the phone. And my dad finally goes, fuck off. What do you really want to tell us? And so I repeated myself. I'm like, Dad, I'm serious. I just signed with the Vancouver Canucks. So to your point, like, no wonder he was skeptical. Like this just NHL thing comes totally out of the left field. And now you're telling me it's Vancouver, your home province team. Like, okay, good one. Next. Right. And so I had to be like, I don't even know if they had a computer back then, but I was like, there's kind of some news about it. Like you can go look it up. And so a stretch went by and he repeated himself like, dude, he didn't believe me. So just a bit of a funny ending. But so that reminds me of just this one story, and I'm probably going to get emotional telling it, but
rip it, buddy, rip it. Lay it
out.
Yeah,
dude. Where again, like I couldn't have done this on my own. And I don't think any of us can. At times, yeah, it seemed that way. But, you know, with teammates and people in your corner, yeah. And I think there was an element of maybe there was some predisposed grit there in the burn unit in terms of how I was raised and that kind of fighter mentality in a way, and fight for what you believe in and what you want. Like that was instilled in me. And so maybe that was part of my choice. And so I'm thankful for that I was able to make that choice. But yeah, this story sticks out so much to me because around 3 weeks, I think it was around 3 weeks or a month in the burn unit, I still hadn't got my surgery, was waiting for it, but I was starting to feel better, right? Like way better, because I had this vision. I made this choice. I had like this new ember in me burning fucking hot. I was ready to party, right? But my parent, I didn't really share like any of it with my mom and dad still, right? And so I'll never forget, I was able to get into a wheelchair. I still couldn't walk, but I was able to go outside for the first time. I hadn't had a sniff of fresh air for almost a month. My parents take me outside, and I could tell, like for them, we were sitting on this like little lookout at VGH, and I think it was the first moment for them that they realized like he's going to be okay. Like we're on the other side of this. And my dad said that to me. He's like, Hub, that was my nickname, Hub. He said, Hub, you're going to be okay, man. We're going to get through this. And remember, I had already made this choice, right? And I turned around, I looked at my dad, almost like not in an angry way, but just like, what are you talking about, Dad? I'm going to be better than okay. I'm coming back and I'm playing hockey and I'm going to Brown. Dude, they looked at me. I could tell they were mortified by what I said, because like as a parent, they didn't give a shit if I played hockey, and they knew, or the doctor had told us like what the road ahead looked like. It was going to be fucking hard. Right. And so what he wanted to say was, forget about hockey, man. Like we don't, just heal up, get better, just whatever. It doesn't matter. Right? Take care of yourself is what he wanted to say. But he didn't. He looked at me and he said, oh, fucking, that's why I'm going to cry. He just said, well, then you don't stop till you call us from your dorm room at Brown. Right? And yeah, man, like you want to talk about support? Fuck. Like that was it right there. So yeah, he was a good man, and like again, I couldn't have done it without that.
Whole body spiritual chills, alignment, man. Like the gift of a father. No other man is ever going to want to see you do as well as a father. But then in today's day and age and in life in general, people have problems and their issues with their own egos and their own dreams that didn't get there. But your dad, it had the awareness and the unconditional love to check that he's fucking crazy. I just like his own thing of like, I need my kid to be safe. And he went, fucking go for it, kid. That's my fucking boy Hub.
Totally, man. And
Holy
like,
fuck.
that was, I would say that because at some point, I think especially as a father, you have, especially your boys, because I have boys and a girl. I'm screwed with my daughter, man. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna let that one go. But yeah, with the boys, I think like there comes a time where it's like, go, young one, go find yourself, go find your path. And not that I hadn't had that, because I had left home to go play junior, like all of us at some point, right? Or many of us on the podcast. But like that was truly the moment where I felt him set me free. You know, like I still felt like Papa Bear before that. Like they were at my games all the time and we were always talking, and there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, that moment was the moment I was set free to go forge my own path. You know, and so yeah, man, it was a very beautiful memory for sure.
That's fucking incredible, man. I can't imagine the pride that coursed through that man's body when you said that. And then when he watched you just make it happen, and then to call him 4 years after getting to that, but that was just to get to Brown, was winning, like you said. And then to call him after that, fucking hell, dude. You signed your hometown team, and then you just, I mean, you had a hot start to the career. You had to start over, but you did well pretty quickly, man.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't have to be sorry, but just
no, you don't have to be sorry at all. And
good memories.
We're at hour 12. We could do episode 2, but if you got time, we could go a little longer. But it's up to you. We
we could go longer, man. No, I'm happy to go as long as you want.
Yeah, I don't want to rush you out of it, but dude, I mean, it's fucking powerful, man. I resonated with this book so much, I couldn't put it down.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I'm looking forward to yours as well. I think a lot of overlap and similarities for sure. But yeah, I had a great 5-year career. It was obviously shorter than I wanted, and we'll get into that. But like I said, when I started in the American League, I had like 2 assists my first game. I had like 4 assists in, I don't know, 5 or 6 games. And then it started drying up, right? And I started bumping down the lineup. I got healthy scratched. Like I was making big money in the American League at that time. So it was kind of like, what the fuck are you doing? We need you to produce.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, I just went back to like kill anyone and everyone at all times. And we were in Abbotsford. And so I was in Manitoba, that we were affiliated with the Moose, but Abbotsford was Calgary, I think. But all the Canucks brass was at the game, right? And I had one of the double homicides, as I called it. I had a few of them where you knock a guy out from a hit, catch him clean, and then you get jumped and knock that guy out. And that's exactly what happened at Abbotsford. But this was one of those hits where, man, like I thought he was dead. And like there was so much blood. So he had hit his face on the ice. And you're so jacked up in those moments, and like that animalistic like aggression. And when you get to the box, it sort of starts to die down. And I was totally oblivious to like the fact that or had happened. And I remember that like the crowd wasn't like it normally was. It was fucking dead silent. And I'm like, what is going on? And I looked over, and dude, there's like a huge pool of blood by this guy's head, like huge. And I'm just like, oh, and that's when it hit me. And I'm like, fuck, is he dead? And I just remember thinking like, please get up, please get up, please get up. Right. Because again, we talked about what were willing to do, but the thought of like, fuck, what if he is actually dead? Like, how would I live with that? So anyways, he gets up, and again, not necessarily a regret, right? But just, yeah. What did you call it?
Decent regret.
A decent regret, or like some remorse there, which I did feel like in the moment. But dude, I was called up like a week later. So it's what we had to do. I remember my mom was she was terrified. Like she was in tears after that game when they came to watch.
And it's
right?
weird because it's not personal, but it is, right? It's like this weird thing. When you're in it, it's like, I'll kill you. But after, you're like, yeah, I wouldn't take it back, but I'm not trying. It's not personal. It's just, this is what we're bred to do. This is what I'm bred to do.
Like, my dream is the most important thing, and I will do nothing to stop at it, right? Or not do anything.
And how do you think, as competitive sports, how do you think that is that a good thing for society where you sit from now?
Yeah. Where do I sit on that now?
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know, man. It's like a double-edged sword. I don't know if I have a right answer for it, because that mentality has given me so much in my life. But again, like, it's hockey athlete. It's a different beast because it's physical. Right. So the world I'm trying to conquer now, I don't have to beat the shit out of anyone. But you're damn well right. I bring that same mentality into it. So I don't know, man. I think as a man, as men, we've lost a little bit of that masculine edge. And again, I'm not saying we have to go start being violent and beating the shit out of each other, because now, listen, if we're having a hockey conversation, I don't know. I think that's part of the game still.
100% agree. If you were in the arena, you got to play the game.
And it served us well, and there's room for that. But yeah, man, I think, like, that's also partly for me what it means to be a man, is like lead with confidence and belief and trust, and again, blow the roof off the ceiling of what you think is possible and chase that. Like, to me, that's the essence of life, of having a passion and chasing that relentlessly, which I do with that same mentality of like, fuck you, watch this, get out of my way. I'm here and I'm here to stay. Like, I have that same mentality. I'm just not using my fists now. Right. So I don't know if that really answers your question, but I guess my first thought or reaction was, yeah, I think that is applicable to life.
And I don't disagree with you. I think it's such a nuanced thing. And I think you hit it on the head with a double-edged sword. It's like, when you sign up to play that sport, that's the reality of it. There's consequences to it. I used to tell people, they're like, you're like a vigilante on ice. And I was like, then go watch tennis. Like, I don't fucking care. Right. That's who I was. And that's fair. And that's, the game needs intimidation. And I talk now about it and say, who's your favorite team? We go, Florida and Tampa. Why? They're the most violent. That's what wins at hockey. That's not to say I would go back and do the job, because have a decent regret of, that's not how I know I want to live my life forward. It's what I needed now. But I'm thinking of, from like the competitive point of view, like, I think it needs to be very educated at a young age. If like, you want to go down the competitive path, this is what it could bring. It could make you think that you have to be narcissistic and all these things, and it's all about you and life. And that's going to bring its own suffering. It's going to be great, but it's going to bring its own thing. Whereas the play for fun, it's not about hurting people. It's not about getting anywhere. It's about the moment. I think that needs to be a little more educated on, and not just, there's only one way, competitive or nothing.
Yeah, dude. And I love your messaging when you talk about that stuff, because I really resonate that. Like, and I think I mentioned this book to you, The Second Mountain.
Yes.
And it really reminds me of that, because that first mountain we conquered in our lives, which this applies to many people. The first mountain, that's for you. That's for the ego. That's for the self. And it's not that there's anything wrong with that. You're young. We made it to the NHL, dude. Like, that's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with doing it for us, right? But now, this second mountain and I would assume for you as well, it's really about spreading love and being of service and making an impact. Like, that's what I feel now. I've already done the first mountain. Right. And it might seem like I'm doing that for the music, but I think with that, there is an element of like personal challenge and challenging myself, but I don't think that's ego, right? That's still just, that's the essence of life, is like finding something you love to do and doing it with all of your being. Like, why not? What else is there?
Exactly.
Right.
I couldn't agree more, man. I couldn't agree. So here's a follow-up question to that then. Do you think the first mountain always has to be about you? Do you think that's the part of being human? Or do you think you have say, for example, my dad or mother saying like, hey, like it all looks great. You're going to play in the NHL and all this stuff. And you seem to be a good kid on the outside, but nobody has those vulnerable conversations to find out what was going on the inside. Like it was truly about me. People are like, oh, you're such an unselfish guy that you fought for your team. I didn't fight for my fucking team. Like I told everybody that I was fighting for me. I was fighting for my own standing in my own experience and proving my dad wrong. It wasn't about anybody else. So do you think you kind of have to go through that in life to get to that second mountain?
That's a really good question, man. I think 95 or more % of us, that's the case.
Yeah.
Now, listen, there's some young people doing amazing things in service to, right? Like, I don't know. Is that like an emotional intelligence thing where, I don't know. I didn't have that.
Right. But it also can be addiction to serving, and it's actually about you and not that person. Right. I think it is like I'm agreeing with you. Totally. I think it's 99.9% of us come into this life. And that is the purpose, to learn this through suffering, through a fight plan that we take up against life to get something from it. It breaks us open, which is the medicine, and we get to actually live what life's about.
Totally. And I think that's why, and I read this book so long ago, but I think that's exactly what he alludes to, right? It's like you have to go through the first mountain to even get to the second, right? Now, again, there's going to be exceptions like anything to people that hop right into the second mountain. I can't think of an example off the top of my head because I don't think it's common. Yeah. So
no. I think people get caught up in those stories. Like, for example, for me, there's a guy named Ramana Maharshi. He's one of the great Indian saints. His dad died at 16. He had a legitimate out-of-body experience where he was self-realized, and he just went and sat in a mountain in silence and helped people find who they really are. Like, we look at these exotic stories and think, oh, that's your path is your path. And you just have to follow your highest fucking excitement. Look where that took you. Look where that took me. Look where that takes people, man. And you've come through. I know we're going all over the place, which is fun, but I can't help but talk about what you're highest excited about now. You've gone through this, sharing your story, the book, an author, speaker, coaching people with your lived experience. But now you're like, fuck, I feel like I got to express this music coming through me, man.
Yeah, dude. It's really exciting. I feel like it, and I love what I do with my coaching and making an impact and changing the way people feel and these athletes, and just like unearthing this superpower with the mind and visualization. That, like, I plan to do that for a long time. But the music has got me, excited, kind of similar to those other moments in my life with hockey. My book didn't give me that. My coaching business, listen, I'm really proud of my book and I'm really proud of my business and all these things, but it doesn't light my soul up the way music has always lit my soul up, and like hockey used to. So yeah, I'm really excited. I feel like there's something brewing with it, that same kind of energy. But yeah, dude, I mean, so I've always played music. Like, again, this is going back to my dad. Like, my dad taught me guitar when we were 12. We listened to all the old, like, Steve Earle, AC/DC, John Mellencamp, like, just always played together, singing around the campfires in the house. And I've always, like, casually written music just for shits and giggles. A lot of it was like 3 a.m. at college, having some beers and writing stupid songs. Some of it was like writing a song for my dad's 50th birthday party, but it was like a funny, and I'm taking jabs at him, like just kind of like that. And yeah, man, I remember, so right before my dad passed away a couple years ago, I was having a beer with him in Revelstoke. And so he did MAIDS. He had ALS. So he set his date. Here's a perfect example of my dad, just the way he operated. He set his date on the leap year so it wouldn't be there the next year. Like, who does that?
Just fill everybody in, just so they know exactly what you mean.
He's just, oh yeah. So he had ALS, and it got to a point where he had 3 rules. He said, if I can't talk, if I can't walk, or if I can't eat or drink, I'm gone. I don't want to be here. And that was a very hard rule. And again, I sometimes butted heads with him a little bit because I was having children too. And I'm like, but Dad, what do you want to meet your grandkids? And anyway, that was a hard rule he had. He's like, I'm out if that happens. And so anyway, it got to a point where he was starting to have some complications with those things. And he said, it's time. And I think a lot of them didn't want to put my mom through it. Like, dude, my parents are young. Like, my mom's just 60. Like, she had me at 19. They were really young. So they retired, and all her friends are like going and doing all these things, traveling the world. And here she is, like, with my dying dad or her dying husband. And my dad didn't want that burden for her. And I think, like, caring for someone with a terminal illness is like, it's heavy. It's heavy. Right. And a lot of emotions with that. So anyway, my dad made that decision, and yeah, he set his date for, I think at the time it was like a month or 6 weeks. I can't remember exactly. And he set it for February 29th of that year. And it was the leap year. So we wouldn't have to, celebrate the next year. It wouldn't be there. Right. Anyway, just who he was, trying to fuck with us and get any little last jabs he could. But so I'm sitting there having a beer with them. Again, this is like weeks away from when he's going to die. And I'm just trying to spend as much time with him as I can. And he's pretty weak. And he just asked me, like, what else has he got going on, man? Like, what's exciting you? And I had my book out. My wife and I had started this family. Our son was like, months old kind of thing. Or he was almost a year, I guess, at that point. And this is before my daughter was born. My dad never got to meet her. But yeah, and I just mentioned the music thing because it was something I had thought about where, like, I told him that. I'm like, I'm thinking about releasing some music. And this man's dying. And he looked at me and he's like, what the fuck are you waiting for? He's like, you can play, you can sing. I know you're not sure if you can. So dude, that really, like, yeah, it really kicked me in the ass and lit that fire, the different fire, obviously. But then he passes away, and that first 6 months is like, I don't know, dude, you're just trying to navigate the whole thing and like grief and that emotion, right? So nothing happened in those first 6 months. Just trying to piece that all together and what it was supposed to look like. And then I connected with this producer. He was actually the dad of another son on my oldest boy's hockey team. And he's like, hey, I heard you play guitar. Like, we should jam one time. And I knew what he did, but I didn't know much about him. And I don't know, another few months went by, and then we connected again. And next thing you know, we jammed. So this was like almost a year after my dad had passed. And yeah, man, I decided to, like, eventually I got to pull the trigger. And that's the same thing with my book. Like, there's vulnerability there, and it's scary, dude. Like, I don't know, a book, but especially music. I feel like music's like a window to the soul. So you're a wide open book at that point. And there's always fear of, again, like, this is just being human, like fear of failure. Is this good enough? Like, will people like it? I had all those thoughts about my book. I had those thoughts about my music, but I don't know, like, everything in my life, every piece of adversity, there's always been a reason. And it's been part of the path. It happened for me. And I've had that trust. With my dad passing away, I really struggled, like, what fucking good is supposed to come of this? Like, it didn't make sense to me. And not that I would ever, of course, I wish he was still here. He's my best friend, the greatest man I've ever known. But I don't know, man. Like, I just, again, with this energy I feel with the music and my dad, I feel him with me all the time through this. Like, I just can't help but think, like, maybe this was it. Like, this was supposed to be it. Like, the push because I talked to my wife about this. I'm like, she asked me this question, which is such a good question. She's like, do you think you would have written this music if your dad didn't die? And I was like, I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. It's hard to say, man. I'd like to think I would, but maybe not. And so that's where I'm at, man. And I've poured my heart and soul into this stuff, like just grinding. And again, this is where like I think that obsession, and this is my mind movie now, dude. Like I live this every day. I also have like this full-time job and, you know, doing these other things. Like I don't have time to fucking write music. I have kids that get up at 5 a.m. and they're up 2 times a night still. Like I had to write this music from like 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. for like the last year. I basically didn't sleep. But yeah, dude, I feel my dad there with me. Like every time I pick up the guitar, it's just like such a peaceful, beautiful thing. So,
dude, you're just walking the talk from your business. You know,
totally.
You were taught those things, and now who are you to just go, you know what, my second mountain was this, and I'm here to serve people. But no, if you're denying that highest excitement in you, you're not going to show up for those clients. You're not going to show up for your family. You're not going to show up for your children. You're not going to be the dad that you want to be, that your dad was. You are walking the fucking talk, man. So talk about how life just seems to open up when you follow those highest excitements, because everybody listening to this has something. I don't care if it's making wooden fucking toys. I don't care if it's like, I don't know, the weirdest thing you could think of. If you have a highest excitement, you got to just chase it.
Totally. And I think it's the fear that stops a lot of people, right? So you've maybe heard this, you know, courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the presence of fear, but you proceed anyway. And I think that's where many people get hung up, is just the fear is so like all encompassing and it's too much. And then that's where maybe procrastination and, you know, doubt and all these things creep in. Like, I'm not perfect, dude. I have this fucking every day, but like, I still like question, like, is this music, will people like it? Like at the end of the day, that's not why I did it. I mean, I'm damn sure some people will like it, but yeah, dude. Yeah. What was your specific question again?
Like going after your highest excitement, regardless of anything. Like you're proof of this, man. Look at all the things they add to your tagline on the intro. You've just consistently shown up, and you've had some sort of awareness through life teaching. You've had the wherewithal to see through it, because I like to say you need courage in the face of fear, but you need clarity before the courage. You need some understanding with awareness to go, no, I should take this step, even though I don't see where my foot's going to land.
Totally, dude. And like, again, we're all on our own individual paths. I kind of like to think that, you know, there's always these little, like, I don't know, what do you want to call it? Little signs or carrots.
Synchronicities, the band. Let's go. Tell it.
There's synchronicities, right? And there's signs. There's always signs. Most of us, myself included at times, like we're not aware of the signs or we don't pay attention. So that's like step one, is you have to be aware and pay attention, because they're fucking everywhere, right? They're everywhere. And so I've had these signs, which I've just shared, right? With like the phone call and my coach talking to me. Like I could have done nothing with that and just, okay, cool, thanks. Let's just see how it goes. It wouldn't have happened. Right. So it's like, and now with the music and just some of the signs I've had, and I'll tell the story about the van after I wrote the Potato song too, because that was talk about synchronicity and signs and afterlife, and like, dude, totally blew my head wide open. But yeah, that's the first step, is like awareness of, and, you know, energy alignment in that. But then it's like, okay, action, what do you do with that? And that's something that I've learned to, I guess, to channel and pay attention, and then, okay, take the step, because that's the hardest part, is actually taking the step.
Exactly, man. And you said there, you said you could have ignored the signs, but I'm gonna raise you there. I don't think you could have, because to me, and what I've learned in my own journey, is ignoring those things is what depression is what anxiety is what suffering is. and you
Right.
can ignore it as long as you fucking want, but it ain't going anywhere. And there's a reason, not in the canonical gospel, the 4 books in the Bible, in the Gospel of Philip, where Jesus just has 117 one-line bangers. He says, if you bring forth what's within you, it will save you. If you do not bring forth what's within you, it will destroy you. And that is verbatim the truth, brother. We are going to see those signs until you are ready to not be able to handle not acting on it because it's too painful not to.
Yeah. That's, I mean, so true. And I think, again, coinciding with my dad's passing, like, again, perspective shift and like life's short and like, what the fuck are you waiting for? Like, I kept hearing him say that every day, you know, after he had passed. Not every day, but, you know, from time to time, I guess. It's like, you got to just take the step. I know it's scary and it's going to be a grind, but that's like the beauty of it, right?
It is, man. And that's what's so beautiful about you sharing the humility to go burn unit, figure out visualization, and do something impossible. Then, forget about it. I'm going to just be happy I'm at Brown. No, do it again. And then it takes you, even though I think this highest excitement music has always been your highest excitement, maybe even more than hockey or anything, brother, because then your dad even has to go, just like you said to him, Dad, what are you talking about? I'm going to Brown. And he's like, well, don't stop till you get to the fucking dorm room. He went to you now and said, well, what are you fucking waiting for? Even you, through these remarkable things, even us still struggle to take that fearful step. So everybody out there, it doesn't matter what your journey is. Everybody goes through this shit over and over again.
It's so true, man. And it's funny you said that, where like maybe this is a more of an exciting, lighten up the soul venture. It's funny, like my oldest boy will ask me through this new venture. He's like, so would you, if you had to pick, would you have rather played in the NHL or been a rock star? I'm like, dude, not even close.
Not even close.
Not even close, man. And so, yeah, well, and it's funny, I made a post the other day because my bio in my book says guitar aficionado and wannabe rock star. I had forgotten that I wrote that. And I'm just like, talk about synchronicities. I mean, I'm still wannabe status right now, but you know, when it gets to the next jump, like you heard it here first, right?
Dude, you're young. I saw that bio. It was at the top of my document here of footage of diving into your episode. I could tell immediately. And since you've been talking about the music, this blows everything out of the water.
Yeah, dude. Like, this is just like the bigger picture beauty of life, which we're all on our own journeys and our own paths. Yeah, like, and that's what I mean by like, there's a big wave energy right now. And I just can't help but think like it was all supposed to be this way. You know, like the burn, the NHL, the career-ending neck injury, which stopped me at 5 years. Like, did I want that to happen? Of course fucking not. Like, I was trying to play as long as I could, right? But then I wouldn't have met my first wife, my ex-wife. I wouldn't have had my kid. Divorce was a whole other type of adversity, right? And that happened around the same time my dad got diagnosed. I was fucking working at the bank in the real world. Dude, I was a mess. I was like completely rock bottom, depressed as shit, drinking too much. Like, I had to go through that. That was part of it, right? It's because so I can meet my wife now and have this beautiful family we have. So I have my daughter that I wrote a song about called Girl Dad that fucking people love who've heard it, and it's gonna fucking go up here. Like, I'm just like, it was supposed to be this way from day one. And it's like, that's the movie, right?
Brother. So beautiful, man. Steve Jobs said, we can always connect the dots looking backwards, but we can't connect them looking forwards. And I call fucking bullshit, man. I call bullshit because we can look at your life, my life, Steve Jobs, all these people. The dots always connect looking forward. They always do. Do we ever really truly at the depths of us go, that shouldn't have happened? Fuck no. You always, in enough time, look back and go, that happened exactly how it was supposed to. So why can't we live with the anxiety-free, highest excitement life, knowing that going forward, it's going to be the same way? And that's the healing journey I've been on. And that is achievable for us, man. That is achievable. You are proving it to me. Every time I speak to someone that's vulnerable like you, it proves it again.
Yeah, it's so true. And I think that's that's the tricky part of life, right? Because in those moments, like we didn't feel that in those moments. We felt like, fucking terror or depression or anger. Like I didn't in that moment realize this was supposed to be this way. Like it's the opposite. But again, that's the learning that you're speaking of, right? And that's what, the adversities give me now. I can't remember who said this, but they're like the cookie jars that you get to like go grab one, because it's like we've been through this type of thing before.
Yes.
Right. So yeah, I totally agree. You can totally connect the dots, right? If again, with awareness and
you can.
Yeah, dude.
I think you find people that have walked it in front of you and you go, because you said it yourself, you couldn't do this alone. You even said, like, my book kind of seems like it's a memoir, so it's your experience. So it comes off that I could have done it myself. It's like, no, we could never have. And it was that stubbornness that prolonged the suffering. So anybody listening, find people that have done this, that believe the dots connect going forward. Find people that you can lean into with that, because it's going to limit the amount of time you get to your highest excitement. Believe me.
Well, and that's in a nutshell what I do. You could wrap that up and put it on a fucking label on the course. Like
same thing with me, brother.
That's what cinematic mind mapping is, dude. It's like connecting the dots by living your movie, tricking your brain into thinking you are that person and you live that every single day. Like that's really what it is at the essence, right? So yeah, dude. I mean, I love what you're doing. I love what this is all about. Can't wait to read your book, man.
I appreciate it, dude. I knew this was going to be a banger of an episode. Just the intimacy and you're going to, I think, like I said, I've read your book. You don't know my story as in depth. You're going to just be like looking at this thing like, what in the hell, dude? He knew this when he had like, this is crazy how similar we have on opposite ends of the country. 7 years ahead of me. Like it's so beautiful, man. And the younger me would have been so intimidated by you, so like, oh, he had a better career or he's done more things and all these things. I'm just sitting here and just like blessed, man, to have someone like, I feel like you're like a big brother to me. People find people that have walked the path ahead of you, man. Like you're such a shining example, man.
Oh, dude, I appreciate it. And likewise, excited to follow along, man. And yeah, it's funny. We didn't even talk about any hockey stories, but it's all good. We'll do that another time because I'm sure we both got a lot of good ones.
That's it. Like I was thinking in this pod, this is what my co-host. So after this, we do a 30 minutes where we talk about what this conversation brings up in us and we chop it up. But I was thinking I could have gone to we could do a part 1 and part 2. It'd be like more hockey and then the more the deep stuff. But my co-host just says, dude, the magic happens. Just sit down and see what fucking happens. So it happened exactly how it's supposed to, because I know the dots connect going forward. Beautiful time with you, man.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate it. That's the beauty of podcasts, is you just never know where they're going to go, right? So
much fun, dude. Well, we're definitely going to have you on again. We're going to have you on with where this excitement journey is taking you. Next time we can go, let's go into the hockey, and then we'll go opposite. What's the career now with the highest excitement? Where's the music at? Which song did you not expect is blowing it up? Which song's resonating with people? Like, it's going to be so fun, dude.
Can't wait. So when do you post these, or when do they go live?
So we're doing the 6th episode this Sunday, and then I have 3 more in the bank, but we might get yours edited up. It might come out in between 2 weeks to 6 weeks from now.
Okay. So yeah, I'll have either like a song or 2 songs out. So we'll see,
dude,
when this launches, there'll be a couple songs out.
Dude.
So
and I make a promo for every guy of them fighting. So with yours, instead of some hardcore fight song, we'll throw one of your favorites up, whatever one you was higher energy, and we'll throw it on there.
Yeah, dude. Sounds good.
Unreal, dude. Aaron Volpatti, dude. I appreciate you so much for coming on. This story I know is going to reach so many people that are in their journeys on their own way, and they're suffering, and they're like, man, what do I got to do? Well, there's a lot of cookies in here, people, to dip into and take some bites on. So thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your presence, and we'll see you again next time on the Fight Plan, man. Thank you.
Yeah, buddy. Namaste.
Namaste. Let's go.
Thank you, man.
Hey, Ben here from After the Bell and the Fight Plan podcast. I'm really excited to announce that I've been working with Gabriel on something we call the Next Arena. Now, this is built for somebody who's going through transitions in life, whether that be leaving the game, changing careers, or just looking to move forward with a little bit more purpose and a little bit more structure. We'll be announcing more on this soon, but until then, back to the podcast.
Ring a ding, ding, fight fans. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? What a conversation. Now we're welcoming in our boy, Ben Myers, somebody like you. Namaste, brother. Thank you so much for joining us again. I mean, you could tell right from when I sent you that email that this was different.
You signed it, ... he. And I was like, wait, why is he so giggly? And I quickly found out that this was an absolutely magical podcast episode with you and Volpatti. I want to just say, first off, thank you to him for sharing his vulnerability, sharing his gifts, sharing his stories, all of those things, because from start to finish, I felt so inspired by the two of you talking that I like walked away and I'm like telling people like in my circle, I'm like, I cannot wait for you to hear this podcast that's coming out. So I'm so excited people got to finally hear it.
Thank you, brother. That's a very kind reflection of you. And you know, we talk about how our mind does different things. My mind's just like wants to compare it to other episodes and different stories and my story. And I'm just sitting here going, no, I don't subscribe to that anymore. I'm just going to marinate in this love and light of this beautiful conversation of this grounded guy who's been through quite a lot in his life. And he's got a great story to tell. And I'm just so proud that we got to be a part of it. And where does your mind go right off the bat after we just give you the floor on this podcast and this conversation? What stands out to Ben Myers?
The overarching theme of that entire podcast was the power of the mind and the visualization, mental rehearsal, and all of those. Like, are you kidding me? Being practically wrapped up like a mummy, a doctor telling you that your dream of playing hockey is essentially dead, and your parents sitting there in tears, and he goes into one place and one place only, and it's the power of his mind and visualization of imagining what it's like to walk back into the rink, what it's like to get back and put his skates on, what it's like to go out there and hit people again. And he did that thousands and thousands of times to where his mind and his body believed it as a reality as if it already happened. When he matched those emotions of what it would feel like, that's the overarching theme of this, is the power of the mind and matching emotions to this vision, this visualization practice he has and he's coaching. That was incredible.
It's funny enough how our course, the main spine of it is the mind, people. There's a reason for it. And I couldn't agree more, man. I mean, like I said in the pod, I devoured his book in 2 days. It was not a small memoir. It's about the same length as mine's going to be, 350 plus pages. And I couldn't put it down. Like, you pick up a hockey memoir, I've read Probert's, I've read different ones, and they're enthralling, they're great. But this just was different, because it's so unique. And I think we all have unique stories if we're willing to be this raw and real about them. This guy literally had no other choice but to be. And I totally agree with you. And the part that almost, because I lived this in my own way, but like, it's almost like he just naturally did this. He didn't know any single bit of quantum mechanics, science, modern day psychology, nothing. And he just naturally did it. What do you attribute that to?
Intuitive pull. It took me to read Dr. Joe Dispenza's Becoming Supernatural twice to really truly understand. And then he just seemed like, not to say whatever, like, what else was he going to do? Was he going to wallow in his pain and his suffering? Or was he going to take himself to a place? You hear in the book Meditations, like, you can be anywhere in your mind, like, go there. And he did it. Like, to how he got there, why he got there is always going to be a mystery to me, but I'm so thankful he did, because it's an absolute gift to teach kids, hockey players, people in everyday life, that you can create from a place of absolute hopelessness to a dream life that you were trying to build for years.
So true, dude. And I can only just look at it through the lens that I've lived, and my experience is like, and it's so strong, the feeling of pain, the conditioning that pain is bad and it's something to run from and resist at all costs. And I was so there, and I was stubborn as hell and resisted it for so long. But it's so true that it is the doorway. It's so paradoxical. It's so hard to fathom. But when you have nowhere else to turn, it's like a tiger being stuck in a corner. You get it back against the wall, it's going to find a way through you. And his salve became his happy place in his mind, picturing going back to, I always think of Happy Gilmore and his girlfriend bringing the 2 pitchers of drinks or whatever, right? But then Shooter McGavin comes in and kisses his girlfriend, but then that's the negative thoughts. It's like, even these funny movies have the deep teachings in it. That's what really resonated with me, just lying there and going, he just intuitively knew Why stay in the pain? Move. And if that means moving just between my freaking ears, then that means that's what I got to do.
It sounded like the best thing about it is it goes beyond the body, right? And I think that's something me and you talk about a lot. Like, this body is a really good distraction from what's beyond it. We're caught in this, as you love to say, this meat monkey spacesuit. We think that this is the reality. This is it. You can tell that when you're stuck in a place where you can't do things with the body, you're still able to dictate your future beyond the act of just sweat equity, of physical output. Like, it starts between the ears. And then that's what tells the rest of everything what to create around it.
Damn. It's just, I'm getting all my hair standing up, because it's like he literally said, we're not talking to him if he didn't go through that, because he would have never have gotten to his 4th year at Brown University. Not even thought he already won the lottery of getting to his D1 scholarship and getting through this absolute debacle of getting burnt 40% of his body. But he then knew the blueprint. And it's so funny how even admitted, like, it's kind of funny how I went away from that visualization because I got out of the pain. But then he kind of went, oh, I don't have to only access this when there's pain. I know what I need to do. My assistant coach goes, you ever thought about pro hockey? And he just locked onto it. He said in the same way, that was from pain that built him. Now the excitement drew him in, and he just applied what he learned.
You know what? You had such a killer quote towards the end of that podcast. And it was one of the things you said. It was along the lines of, like, we can almost predict and connect the dots moving forward. We can understand, like, what are we scared of? Like, this whole, we don't know what, because 100% of the time we look back in the rearview mirror and we go, that made sense. I know why that happened for me. You're just living that moment right now. So the key ingredient here is have faith that it all works out, that, like, it's going to make sense, and you're making sense of it right fucking now.
Oh, dude.
That's what I heard, at least.
So fucking powerful, dude. So true. It's so logical. It's so logical that if it always lines up going backwards, why the fuck would it not going forwards? The answers are all around us. Brady, Jordan, Volpatti, my story in my book, your story when your podcast comes out, everybody's fucking story if they're honest. Fuck.
It's a decision. It's so many of the people, why did this happen to me? Why did this happen to me? If you look for the answer and you look for, like I say, like, gun to your head, why did this happen for you? It has to. You have to give me 5 reasons that this worked for you. I don't care if they feel like bullshit right now. You're going to give me 5 reasons, and you're going to realize there's answers there. You just don't believe them right now. That's the practice, is learning to believe that it is happening for you. It's not happening to you. And so when you do look in that rearview mirror, it's with gratitude and not with hate.
We might have to work that in the course. That's a new visualization. Sit down and pretend like somebody has a gun to your head. And whatever you're going through, you have to find 5 positive things about it, 3 positive things about it, or you're gone. Like, visualize that. Do that. People are going to, like, oh, that's dumb, this, that. And that's why we put in our module, the cringe prison. You got to break out of that. You got to break out of this thing that this isn't cool. This is your life is on the line. We can all visualize and do that. I love that practice you just channeled, man.
Well, thinking about, like, this cringe prison, oh, that's not cool to do it. You know what's also not cool? Feeling like absolute shit for your entire life. Like, feeling like you're not worthy of it. Feeling like I don't want to look at the good things and celebrate myself and realize why everything's working for me, because people are going to make fun of me for being happy. What? That's insane. So you talk about, like, that cringe prison. It's like, it's called prison for a reason. Break out of that. Get comfortable doing the things that are going to bring you joy, bring you happiness, bring you your highest excitement, those type of things. Because once you break that, your perspective changes from it's happening to me to it's happening for me.
People, we are on one today. This is amazing. But you know what? Nobody does it alone. Not a single person. You know what? Somebody out there in the other situation, they come back and they're like, I'm going to play in Brown, and all his teammates maybe are on a different point of their journey and they're not as accommodating. He gets back to the rink and they have a CD burned of songs about fire that says charred wood on it. Like, are you kidding me?
He talked a lot about like our perspective of when we go through hard things, like having the support around you, the teammates, like being able to joke and make fun of the situation, make light of it, because obviously getting 40% of your body burned is traumatic and terrifying and debilitating. But when you can break through and you can have those moments of laughter, joy, support, camaraderie, and you're able to joke about it, you take away its power. You take
Mm,
away this overarching, just absolute
mm,
terror of hell that you're going through, and you start rewriting the narrative of I'm in control. I can make this funny. I can still honor it. I can still, be very grateful and be whatever respectful to obviously fire and fire safety and all of that type of stuff. But like that's what stood out to me is the way he was able to take that, shift it. And it was such an important lesson being like, hey, however you want to cope, remember you are in the power of your own perspective.
mm, mm. And he clearly got it from his pops. I mean, you were talking about today on that clip from our last After the Bell about our environment and that we really don't learn from our parents by what they say, it's what they do. But his dad clearly modeled like you just work hard, but then you have fun with life. Like he couldn't wait to get home from the railway and just rip around the trailer park, goof around, go for the trip with the potatoes and hitting the signs, you know. And then for him to be able to, out in the sun for the first time, a month into the burn unit, and him and his dad and mom are just going, okay, like Hub, like his nickname, you're going to be okay. And he looked at them like, you're going to be okay. I'm going to Brown. And his dad had the awareness in that moment to take an absolute shocking thing his son's saying. He's just happy he's freaking alive. Happy he still has a pecker on him to give him a grandson or granddaughter. And he goes, well, then don't stop till you walk in that dorm room. Like, I was like, are you? Look, I'm ready to run through the damn wall over here.
It's insane. And his dad continues to teach such an important lesson through him now. Because that resonated with me so deeply. It was just kind of like, hey, get out of your own head and realize like it wasn't about him as a father. It was my son says he wants to do this. He's going to do this. Don't stop till you call me from the fucking dorm room. Like imagine like that's like a moment where I think it's like on the big screen and the music is just crescendoing. Then all of a sudden the workout Rocky montage comes on. And it was like when Adrian goes, win. Like you're like imagine your dad just being like, don't fucking stop until you call. And then he does it. Like I have hair standing up all over my body. It's insane, dude. I'm so so much love to him, his pops. You could just tell how much that relationship meant to him then and continuing through the music. He talked about music being the window to the soul and the vulnerability. It's incredible, man. I'm so happy that his father's still teaching now, just beyond him, now coming through us and to everyone. It's so cool.
That's how it works, people. People share vulnerably and it just flows through all of us. I mean, like you said, his dad then kind of unlocked the highest excitement away from later. Like, I can resonate with that so much. Making breakthroughs, thinking I have it all figured out, and then like snap of your fingers, it's like a year and a half later, and you forgot what got you through that last one. But then you're sitting there with your dad, his dad's about to use maids to take his own life, to not live through ALS anymore, and he's just like, "What are you waiting for with this music thing?" It's like he's almost forgotten. Like I forgot so many times. This was my process. I have it tattooed on my arms. Achieve, dream, work hard, believe, achieve, reflect, repeat. And then I would get sucked into my mind. I get sucked into my worries. But it's that constantly extricating ourselves with awareness that finally said, okay, I did this with the burn. I did this with the NHL. Why wouldn't I do this with the thing that me and dad did from day one?
He deposited proof, just like you're talking about. Repeat, like the belief is there. Like you've proven to yourself you can do it. Like the proof is there. And if you haven't done it yet, I'm not going to try to make this more simple than it probably sounds, but just deposit proof. Everything is data collection. Whether it works or it doesn't, it's data collection. What is your goal? What is that? And like you talk about it, it's, oh, I can do this. I have a process. I'm going to repeat and just get more efficient with it as I go. And then all of a sudden it's going to be streamlined. It's incredible, man. His entire journey, like the whole time I'm sitting there, I was like, what an inspiration. If you have not read his book, or if you have not checked out his stuff, if you have not checked out his programs, hashtag this is not an ad. Volpatti, man, I was blown away. I felt like I wanted to sit next to you and play guitar with you and hear your songs. That was incredible, man.
You guys connect on that level different than me. Maybe the next time we have him on, you got to come on and talk some music with him and stuff, see where he's at. But this second mountain kind of concept that came in, and I know you're going to have a lot to say on this one because I know your journey now. Dude, I posed that question to him. Do you think you have to climb the first mountain of ego, basically, of taking, of even if it's dressed up in ways that looks like it's giving, it's really about you to get to that second mountain?
I don't think you have to, but here's the thing. I know on mine I did. And I think it comes back to like that law, like the law of duality. Without that, how would I know that this is the way, kind of thing? So I learned that through the ego kind of running the show and being in service to the ego and crashing and burning, but also having my successes. I got to be the show. I got to, live it. And then the second mountain, what I've learned is being more of the observer and a little bit more of the puppet master, and not taking everything so personally. Now I still struggle with it, right? I don't want to say struggle. I still play with it. But so to answer your question, I think you don't have to, but I think it's good if you recognize there's a second mountain.
That is a great answer. Like, technically, logically, theoretically, you don't need to, but I get. And I sometimes even get caught in myself. I'm like, no, wait a second. Did you forget what you had to go through to be sitting here? Dude, that's powerful. I know we get caught up in the exotic stories. I know for me, whether it's Ramana Maharshi, who just lays down and gets enlightened in 1 second or whatever it is, I love this, the analogy of that we're this diamond. We always have been this diamond. We're already perfect, but we're covered in mud. And it's not like the diamond's getting more pure of a diamond. The mud's coming off, and we live in that reflection that keeps getting clearer. And that's a gradual process, even though it's so frustrating. My mom the other day was even like, I'm starting to get this now. Can we just wash the mud off faster? It's like, no. It's not up to you. It's not up to you.
That's one of the most frustrating parts of the journey is you start to get a groove and you're like, okay, well, I want this to go faster. I want everything now. And it goes, no. That's your next lesson, is the patience of it, is everything you wished for, everything you prayed for. It's always going to be there, but that the receiving of it isn't always on your terms, as far as the physical receiving of it, that you can receive it mentally all of the time, spiritually all of the time, the gratitude of it all of the time, but physically receiving through the illusion of time, it will get to you when it's meant to get to you. It can't miss you.
It just, the ego wants to be the protagonist of its own dissolution. It wants to be the one that goes, hey, look at me. I'm the one that got enlightened. I'm the one that found this place beyond suffering. I'm the one that did that. And it's literally like a cop trying to find a serial killer when he doesn't know that he's the killer himself and has amnesia. You will never find it. That phantom self, this ego we think is us, this guy for me, will never be this king wolf that's the big, bad, cool guy. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist.
It's the Spider-Man meme. It's just literally everything pointing at each other. And you're all three, but when you said the ego wants to be the protagonist of its own dissolution, that is artful. Like, that is poetic. Like, you said, like, that something coursed through my veins where I go, holy shit, that is beautiful. But it's so true. The ego is just main character energy. That's all it is. It has FOMO. It wants to make sure that it's along for every ride, including the dissolution of itself. Like, it's like, no. Even when I'm gone, I'm still going to be the main character. It's like, I don't think you know how this shit works, brother.
It's why we have to become this observer, this awareness. We have to cut this identification with this meat monkey space. So that's why we keep saying it. Every freaking time we say it is the rep, people. It's ingraining more in your cells that you are not this thing. And we get pushed and pulled. But man, it really makes no sense that it could ever find its way out, because it is the problem. These come from my reflections with just sitting and thinking about these things. And I use, we all use AI. I go put in questions and I go, what is this kind of thing? And I reason it. And it's just like, I think Muji said this one where I was putting it in. He's like, the practice, the person doing the practices, the hopes, the dreams, that entity is arising in what it's seeking already. Like it already is it. You can't find this thing, people. You can only become it. And this is why we have to circle up and constantly have that Spider-Man meme in the embodiment of our friends like Ben, of our community members, of our family, to constantly point us back when our ego hijacks the show, thinks I got the wheel, kicks whatever you want to call it to the passenger seat. And no, that's trouble. But it's just data collection. It all comes back around.
Something I use on coaching calls, and because it's helped me in my life, is it's really daunting to think that you have to go out and you have to find all of your dreams, your hopes, your happiness, your peace, your joy. Like you have to go outside and no one tells you where it is. You go, all right, go get in the car and go find it. Well, what if it's in California? What if it's in Northern Ontario? What if it's in Florida? What if I was to tell you, hey, that peace you're looking for is right in that closet. You just have to clean the closet. You'll find it. Like you can pull everything out, but I promise you it is in there. It is inside. You just have to clean it. You would go, oh, I don't have to leave the house to get my happiness? No. You got to put some work in. You got to move some boxes around, maybe clean up, maybe throw some things away. But I promise you, the call's coming from inside the house.
That is fucking beautiful. I love that, brother. It doesn't matter if it's a speck of glass in there and it's going to take you 40 years. It doesn't matter if it's a big plushy toy that's going to fall out when you open it. You're going to find it. It's just a matter of when. That was a big, profound moment the other day with my mom, just looking at me like, I don't really get all this spiritual stuff yet, but you're basically saying I can't do this wrong. And I'm like, yes. How much does that relieve so many things? And then I heard a quote. Oh, my mind's going in two different ways. Which way does it want to go? It's the quote of, if you don't want anything, that's the same as having everything. That's kind of like letting go of the need to go find all these things. You don't have to. But if you do, I'll be right there and saying, good job. And I'll welcome you back every time, no matter how far, no matter you go to India 10 times, go on and go find that thing if you need to.
It's remembering that spirituality and that identity is also ego as well. It's the identifying of spiritual, the identifying, like, you can't escape your ego during the human experience. You build a relationship with it. It, like, you take it from, like, because it's steering your ship right now. It's unconsciously just driving. It's been given this role for its entire existence to save you from everything. That's like me getting hired as the CEO of NASA. I am not qualified to be the CEO of NASA, to be an astronaut. So why would I ever give the responsibility of my survival, of my existence and my happiness to something that is not qualified? Let that thing come along for the ride and be like, hey, do you think we should do this? Let it have its opinions. Build a relationship with your ego. Because the only time we're not going to be in this 3D world in this experience is when we're not going to be in this 3D world in this experience. So let's build a relationship with it. At least that I want to say that is my perspective. I know there's a lot of different perspectives out there, but that is, if I'm here, I think everything is built on relationships with the good, the bad, the indifferent, the ugly, all that kind of stuff.
No, it's beautiful, man. It's beautiful. Like there's all different checkpoints on this path where you make these different realizations. A big one is going from to kill the ego to like literally bring it closer to you and befriend it. That is a huge checkpoint for different people at different points, and we articulate it differently. But I love your closet analogy. That's living in my head because another teacher spoke recently that he heard from his teacher that the best analogy he's ever heard of the mind is that there's this. It's basically like, and even Jesus says it, in the Father's room there's many, or house there's many rooms and mansions. So think of being in like a kitchen that's on fire. That's you and your ego just hanging out in the kitchen. And that's all we know. That's our me monkey spacesuit. That's where fight or flight. It's like, but there's all these other rooms you haven't explored. And through meditation, you learn to take your attention and focus it. And it gets to the point where basically, oh, over in that corner of the house is like my darkest fear. I don't have to go over there if I don't want to. I don't have to go spend time in that room. I've been there long enough to know that, oh, I'm just going to shut the door on that one, and I'm going to spend time out in the family room. I'm going to spend time in my art studio. You get to start to choose as you meditate and do this work to map out your house and go, okay, I know that's over there. Me and my ego don't have a good time over there, but we're going to stay over here. All these analogies, we're just diving into these analogies now in this episode. I'm loving it. This is how people really get things. Nobody gets the quantum entanglement, this and this.
It's all the best teachings are stories, because they help you feel something, right? You're not being talked to or talked at. It's kind of like being talked with. Like when things come from imagery and analogies, we can relate to that kind of stuff. That's why the Bible's so powerful. Do you think everybody has the same interpretation of the Bible? They want to make you think that their interpretation is best, or whether it be another religious or spiritual teaching. That's the beauty of all of this is how it relates to us as a soul. Right now, at the grand scheme of things, we're all one, experiencing itself. That goes for stories too. That's the beautiful part of them. You can read the same story twice and it could be completely different.
I think the synchronicities keep winking at us, right? Obviously they are, because, we've been leaning into our own stories of our course and the whole thing we're building out and painting pictures and detailed stories and reading them and listening to them. I know that's been a practice you've been incorporating and already living it just the way he lived playing hockey from that burn unit, when not a single soul in that hospital would have put their whole life savings that he would never have been on the ice in 3 months, and he proved all of them wrong. People, the more you hang around these types of stories, you hang around these types of people, you're going to start to see that the limits of the mind are not what they seem to be.
And including himself, he didn't believe it at first either. Like that's, I think, where people get tripped up. They hear these wonderful stories and these stories with these beautiful endings. It's like, remembering, like, he had to sit with the doctor to tell him, like, hey brother, like, you're going to get in skates again at some point, but like, listen, this final season for you, like, it's not happening. Like, he had to sit with that, and then he made the choice. It's like, no, that's not how it's going to happen. And that, like, so if you're in a moment in your life right now where you feel like it's not possible, that's okay. We all are in that moment at some point. It's, where do you go from there? What decision do you make from there? It's either you believe it or you believe the story you want to have the desired outcome with.
That's what you're so good at, brother. You're putting yourself in shoes of people listening to this, going through that. That is so true. It is so true, because in that moment of right now listening to this and they don't believe what they want to go to, it's like, well, would you rather worship fear? Would you rather believe that you're just going to suffer? What's going to harm if you're going to believe you're going to feel better and you're going to get through this? What's the harm in that? If you think all you're going to do is suffer, you're going to suffer anyway. Might as well try this out. That's the crack in the door.
If you're going to overthink, there's nothing wrong with that. Overthink the best possible outcomes. Learn to overthink the best possible outcomes. Name 100 reasons this is working out for you. You were trained to find the negative in everything. You jump on social media, you jump on the news, you jump on conversations, drama TV, all of this stuff. You were trained to find the negative because it's addictive. If you're going to become addicted to everything and overthink anything, become addicted to the positive outcomes. I've noticed one thing in working with you and high performers. High performers focus on the outcomes in a positive way. The non-high performers that are working to get there focus on how everything will go wrong, and they try to prepare for it not to go wrong. That's the biggest difference I've noticed. And brother, thank you for showing me that, because you've been changing the way I approach life and the way I approach things. So thank you for being a high performer.
Namaste, brother. Thank you, dude. We were just yin and yang. We complement each other so well. We knew we hadn't jumped on and done with these in a little bit because of the scheduling, but we've been live streaming together. This was just like, come on, dude. Like, I'm not comparing episodes. This was just so much fun, and I can't wait for people to hear it.
Me too. As always, I'm just grateful to be here. I'm grateful to share my experiences, share this room, this love, and this light with everybody. So as always, I'm just somebody like you. And what I do is I send love.
He's just somebody like you, fellow waves. Namaste. Thank you so much to everybody for stepping into After the Bell with us. We'll see you on the next time. I just seriously hope you enjoyed listening to that podcast as much as I enjoyed recording it with that guest and then breaking it down with Ben on After the Bell.
If you really want to support us, the best way is to like and subscribe, to get connected on socials, the Fight Plan on Instagram and TikTok. And then finally, get in the WhatsApp community where we talk about the real fights in life, but of course, the fun hockey fights and fights in sports too. Thank you.